You're not crazy. You're postpartum, and there's a real difference. I'm Mandy Strike. I'm a family nurse practitioner, mom of two littles, and postpartum nutrition specialist. And this is Postpartum Real Talk, the show where we stop the sugarcoating and give you clinical clarity and the honest conversation you actually deserve. Let's get into it. Unpopular opinion. The 6-week postpartum clearance is a lie. You sat in that appointment. Maybe you got a pap smear that you were not emotionally ready for, or maybe the whole thing took 10 minutes. And then at the end, someone said, "You're cleared." Cleared for what exactly? If you walked out of that appointment and you were still in pain or still confused, still not feeling like yourself, and you thought something was wrong with you because you got the green light on paper, you were not imagining it. The visit wasn't built to catch what you actually needed caught. I'm Andy Strike. I'm a family nurse practitioner, and this is Postpartum Real Talk. I want to walk you through my own 2 6-week visits because they could not have looked more different. And that alone tells you something. With Frankie, my first, everything was good. It was pretty straightforward visit. I was due for a pap smear, which, let's be honest, is nobody's favorite anyway, but something incredibly awful to add on to a postpartum body. But overall, it went really well. I already knew I didn't want to go on birth control because I wanted to conceive pretty quickly after. So that conversation was simple. They told me that I should not get pregnant for a year. They didn't say why. And they said, "You're cleared." It was simple, in and out. With Robbie, it was a little harder on me because Robbie was a very unhappy baby in those early weeks. I was exhausted in a different way. And I actually had to make a really big decision, which was what birth control I wanted. And let's just be clear, we can have this conversation later, but there is no great answer for birth control for women, unfortunately. It's a much bigger conversation than most people realize, especially when you're running on no sleep. I ended up deciding I wasn't ready to have an IUD placed right at that 6-week visit. It felt too soon for my body, so my PCP ended up placing it later once I actually felt ready. That's a small detail, but it does matter because I was allowed to say, "Not yet," and she listened. Here's the part I really want to highlight, though, because I don't think people realize how rare it was. My PCP is also the provider who cared for me and my children as their pediatrician. So she was phenomenal. She came and did our home visit for my newborns, but as a pediatrician, but she also checked on me in those first few days. She was the one who looked at my hematoma to make sure it wasn't a concern because I not only tore but had hematomas down there with both my babies. Terrible. I don't wish that on anyone. And I've done these checks. I was a postpartum nurse, but you know what? When it's your own body, it's so different. And to have someone else look at it was really helpful instead of just the doctor who glanced at it in the hospital when it hadn't fully formed and waiting 6 weeks for it to be totally healed or not. So I was really, really lucky to have that because most women only get that one visit at 6 weeks. And that's an entire window where someone is not checking on you right after this enormous change. So I would have felt lost without her checking on me the way she did. And that's coming from someone who understands the healthcare from the inside. So let's talk about what that 6-week visit is actually designed to do versus what we've all been led to believe it means. Clinically, this visit is a checkpoint. It's screening for things like, has your uterus returned to normal? Is your incision and perineum healed? Are you not bleeding anymore? You're being offered contraception counseling, and often a depression screening gets checked off of a list. What it's not, in most cases, is a full evaluation of your pelvic floor function, your core strength, your mental health, beyond a quick questionnaire, or how you're actually coping day to day. It's a snapshot, not a full picture. And a lot of real recovery work, physical and emotional, is still unfolding well past the 6-week mark. The system calls it clearance. I'd call it a checkpoint at the very least. And here's the part that might surprise you. This single 6-week visit was never even supposed to be the standard. Back in 2018, ACOG, the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, put out a major update to their postpartum care guidelines. They openly said the old model, one comprehensive visit at 4 to 6 weeks, was not cutting it. Their new recommendation was the postpartum care should be an ongoing process, not a single encounter. Specifically, they said every woman should have contact with a maternal care provider within the first 3 weeks after birth, followed by continued care as needed, all leading up to a comprehensive visit no later than 12 weeks postpartum. Let me say that again. ACOG's own guidance is contact within 3 weeks, ongoing support after that, and a full visit by 12 weeks, not one appointment at 6 weeks and done. This data is serious. More than half of pregnancy-related deaths happen after the baby is already born, in the postpartum period, not during delivery. And close to 40% of women in this country don't even make it to their postpartum visit at all, with that number getting worse for women with fewer resources. So why doesn't this happen in real life? This is the part I really need you to hear. It is not your OB's fault. Most obstetric providers are working inside a system that was never built to support the model ACOG is describing. Insurance reimbursements is still largely structured around the single postpartum visit, not ongoing check-ins. Clinics are short-staffed and overbooked. Providers are given 10, maybe 15 minutes per patient, and a checklist that has to cover physical healing, mental health screenings, contraceptive counseling, and infant-related questions, all in that same short window. Your OB isn't choosing to undercare for you. They're operating inside of a broken system that reimburses and structures care around making sure your body is medically healing, not around making sure you, the person as a whole, is actually okay. That's a gap. Healing gets checked, okay does not. And this is important because this is the part that actually affects how you feel about yourself. When you get cleared and you still don't feel okay, it's easy to internalize that as something being wrong with you. Like you should be further along than you are. Like everyone else bounced back and you didn't. But you're not behind. That appointment was never designed to capture your full recovery in the first place. Being told you're fine in a 10-minute visit doesn't mean your body and your mind are actually done healing. You're not crazy, you're postpartum, and there is a difference. If you have a 6-week visit coming up, or you already had one and were left feeling like something got missed, here's what I tell you to ask for. 1, a pelvic floor referral. Don't wait until it's offered. Ask directly if you're dealing with leaking, pain, or pressure. Number 2, more time on mental health. If a quick screening questionnaire doesn't feel like enough, it's okay to say so. Ask for a real conversation or a referral. Number 3, permission to wait on birth control decisions. You do not have to decide everything in that one visit. I didn't with Robbie, and that's allowed. Number 4, a follow-up plan, not just a one and done. Ask what to do if you're still struggling at week 10 or 16, or what the next step is if you're still struggling, not just silence and you being the one expected to follow up. You're allowed to advocate for more than what's offered in a 10-minute window. If there's one thing I want you to walk away with from today, it's this. Being cleared on paper doesn't mean you're done healing. Give yourself permission to still be in it, and give yourself permission to ask for more support than what's automatically offered. You're not crazy. You're postpartum, and I'll see you in the next episode.